the things that I would say you should do. And obviously, if it's family law you enjoy, go into family firms, call them, send them emails, ask them if they want any volunteers, that sort of thing. Any advice to a third year student in Zimbabwe doing a BA in law who's planning on doing a BPC in the UK? I always think I'm always quite interested and intrigued by international students. I always think that it's quite courageous um, to for someone to take that risk, because it is a risk. You're outside of your comfort zone. You're outside of what you know, and many people leave their families and friends behind. So I always think that it's a selling point as well, and it's something that really I think that if I were an international student, I would push that really hard in terms of applications and in interviews, because I think there's a lot to gain from that. Equally, if you can speak more than one language, I think that that's a real benefit. And why people don't push that as much as I would, it's mind-boggling sometimes. But in terms of the BPC, I would say that do as much research as you can. Have that discussion with yourself about whether or not this is for you. Speak to other people as well who may be in a similar position to you, to try and get as much fact finding and as much information as you can. Because once you're in, you could walk out, but I wouldn't advise you to. And you haven't really got the time, or hopefully you don't have the time or the money to do so. So, once you're set on it, go for it. And I'm sure you'll have a good time. What are your thoughts on the solicitor advocate role versus barrister? Did you consider the solicitor advocate role, and if so, what made you decide that a barrister role was more suited to you? I never considered being a solicitor. When I went in house, it was only as a legal assistant. It was only because I wanted to improve my skills and qualifications. I'd never ever wanted to be a solicitor, primarily because I was always attracted to the bar. I was always attracted to being independent. I was always attracted to advocacy. I was always attracted to being the front line and at the cutting end of decision making. Call me a glory hunter, call it what you want, but I always wanted to be that person that got it over the line, so to speak. Um, Solicitors, advocates, I wouldn't knock them, but it's certainly not something that I ever considered. I can understand why people do go down that road. If you don't get in, if you're struggling to get pupillage, struggling to get interviews, and remember, I think it's still time limited. I think of 5 years from once you qualify um, with the BPTC, that you've got a time period to obtain pupillage. So, I can understand the pressures and why some people may take a different route. So I wouldn't certainly be ignorant or arrogant towards that, but it was certainly not something for me. But then I guess if you like litigation, so you like dealing with people on front end, but you also enjoy advocacy, then I guess you get the best of both worlds, and so that is something that you could go down. But yeah, it's nothing on the bar. It's nothing on the bar in terms of how much money you can make. It's nothing in the bar in terms of the experiences, the camaraderie, the integrity and skill of the bar. It's nowhere near that. But it's an opportunity to nevertheless be in law and do what you have set out to do.
Last question. So how do you navigate feeling emotionally drained after family cases?
I go for a run. I go for walks. I think it's very important in this climate that you do look after your own well-being, your mental well-being. That is, there's a lot of work at the bar about emotional well-being. Um, there's a real focus on it actually, and there's never been a focus on it like that before, because people do suffer depression. People do feel isolated. The job can get you down, and I don't want to sound like a bearer of all problems, but I'm just giving you and telling you how it is. Um, so it is emotionally draining, but spend time with your friends, your family, go for walks, yeah, just fitness, exercise, and those sorts of things can help alleviate the stress. But the work is always there, and it's always stressful, um, especially when you are at the bar as well.
Thank you so much, Nathan, for your time. You can go.
No worries. No worries. Thank you again,
Thank you,
Benedict. Thank you,
Nathan.
Zara. Thank you, Chili. And I hope you guys have been able to gain something from the little that I've said.
Thank you so much. So
Cheers,
we'll
guys. Bye.
thank you.
Bye. Bye.
So the next question is the bar transfer test. I'm assuming you mean the BCAT. How to start studying for it? Chile, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, so the Bar Standards Board on the website, they've got practice tests and they're free. So that's what I used. And you can also try and look for books. I've bought one from Amazon. But I think the best method is using the actual Bar Standards practice test. It's quite a good example of what the actual test is like.
Sarah, do you want to add anything?
No, just the same thing. There is online. There's this book you get from Amazon. You can practice, and it's basically like critical thinking. I don't know if you've done the 11 plus test to get into, for example, a grammar school. It's quite similar because it tests your critical thinking and reasoning. So if you can't get hold of the book, there is loads of websites online where you can practice those types of questions.
Yeah, it's the BCAT isn't particularly difficult. So if you do a few practice tests, you should be all right. So the next question says, will the BPTC change just like the LPC is changing into the SQE, where you don't need a law degree to qualify? Personally, I have no idea. It was the BPTC, but now they've changed it to the BPC, the BTC, the BTT. So I think it's already changed, and obviously you still need a law degree, so I don't think it will be changing anymore. Do you guys have anything to say?
No, just agree to what you said.
Yeah.
Will the BPTC and the LPC be conjoined like they do in New Zealand? I don't think so. I know a lot of other countries, they do have like barristers and solicitors like as one, but I don't think that will happen in the UK, but I'm not sure at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Benedict, I just want to answer this question. I think Nathan touched on it, and the question was how to not get mentally drained when you deal with cases that are quite emotional. I just wanted to kind of touch on it because I worked in the NRM, basically the Human Trafficking and Modern Slavery Department, and the type of cases were daunting. At first, I was struggling to kind of exclude my emotional feelings from my job. And it's similar to what Nathan said. You kind of have to think to yourself, yeah, you're doing your best to help them out. Um, Obviously, there are so many people out there that are struggling, and we don't know, we can't see it, we don't know, we can't hear it. So you kind of have to just speak to yourself and say, I'm doing my best to try to help them out, and that's the best I can do. It can't affect me personally, and just make yourself feel okay that it's okay you see these things, and these people, the victims, whoever is struggling, they're looking up at you so you can help them. So you just try to emotionally detach yourself.
So the next question is, do you necessarily need to do work experience to get into law? Um, I I think if you mean by getting into a law degree to do like the undergraduate, you don't need work experience for that. In terms of the to get a pupillage or to even get on the BPC course, I personally didn't have any legal work experience at all. However, for the BPC, I am doing an LLM with it, and the LLM is pro bono, which has work experience involved. So I do think it is important, not necessarily to just brag and say I have work experience, but more to just show that had you've you've pushed yourself to get that work experience, that you care enough to go and try to learn in your free time and not be paid for it. Basically, I think it just shows the willingness is what they're looking for. And also, like, if you don't have any legal experience, transferable skills are important. Even if you've worked in retail, you can use those skills in the legal environment. So I think it's not necessary, but it is good. It looks good on your CV. Chili, do you want to add anything to that?
In terms of work experience, when you're in the early stages of law, it can be a bit difficult to get. But I was also going to say it's quite good to just go to court as well, because I think I was going to say this in relation to a different question when someone asked about how do you know if you want to be a barrister or a solicitor, because it's free to go into court. And I didn't actually go to court until I was in my law degree, but I wish that I had sooner. So you can just walk into court and watch cases, and that is also a bit of experience as well.
Advice to A-level students who want to get into law. I would say start now, because obviously I didn't know anything. So I was just going day by day until I ended in final year, missed the scholarship applications. So really start looking into it as early as possible. If you're already, you know, not in A-level, maybe already in uni or whatever, it's never too late to start researching what you want to do, but make sure you do know what you want to do before you get there so that you don't miss opportunities like I did, for example. Sarah?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it's okay to not know what you want to do, but just have an idea of maybe this or that, or even you're open to both. But experience is really important, even if it's just a week where you just go to a chambers, a high street chambers, and you just say, "Hello, I'm a law student, or I'm looking into going to law. Can I please shadow you for, I don't know, a week or a few days, just so I can get an idea of what's going on?" There's so many things online as well. There's so many events you can enter as well and have a look at what solicitors say about their experiences, what barristers say about their experience as well. And it's okay to not know what you want to do, just as long as you're actively doing something about it, reading about it. I have, like, as you can see the bookshelf behind me, there's so many books I read about how to become a barrister. You know, there is a secret barrister, there is In Your Defense. There's so many books that gives you an insight on the type of work they do. If you can't get a pupillage, especially in the pandemic right now, I can understand that. A mini pupillage, sorry, or any experience. So yeah, definitely get your hands on a lot of things. And there was a question about how to prepare if you're a mature student. Don't worry, it's the same thing. I feel like I'm 26 and I feel like I'm 100 years old, and what was sitting in the classroom with the rest of the students that are 23. But it's fine, because with the barrister training course, it's intense and you have to be sure mentally that this is something you want to do. You can't just go into, it's not like the LLB where you just do your law degree, you're like, great, that was nice, that was, you know, yeah, okay, it was intense, but still. But with the barrister training course, it's entirely up to you. There is no spoon feeding by the lecturer. You have to read by yourself, you have to prepare by yourself, you have to do the bail application, you have to do everything by yourself. So it's okay if you're a mature student, or if you are, you know, a youngster like the rest of the normal students. So just do your research. That's the most important thing. Read, get experience, and you'll be fine.
How do you find studying the bar course outside of legal London? Do you feel like the providers adequately support students? Personally, I don't. I think that London has way more opportunities than the Midlands does. With the qualifying sessions, they do try to make some certain qualifying sessions for circuit students only, which is people outside of London. But even with that, I don't think it's adequate at all. However, during the pandemic, it doesn't really matter because everything is online. So a lot of the time, it's been equal at the moment, but only because it's online. I imagine, you know, if it was back to normal, I imagine it would be very different. Do you guys want to add anything?
I was just going to say, with my provider, because I did mine at Nottingham Trent University, I thought that they've been quite helpful, but obviously I can't really compare it to the London one because I haven't experienced that. But obviously before I did my law degree, I had no experience, no legal experience whatsoever. And most of the experience that I got was through the uni. Like this year studying the barrister's training course, my mentor is a Crown Court judge, and I got that through the uni as well. And yeah, I think some opportunities are there, but you just have to look out for them and sort of apply whenever you see them, like as quickly as possible. But I personally, I thought it was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add from that. You're totally right. There's so many experiences out there. You just need to be on the lookout. And it just leads on to the question that we just came in. It says, how do you think future